Good afternoon, good evening, hello, happy new year to everyone. This is Carol Bryant. I'm the PR and marketing manager for BlogPaws, and I am here this evening with Yvonne DeVita, who is the BlogPaws co-founder. Yvonne, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Carol, and I'm really excited about tonight's show.
So am I. Kicking off a new year, so many folks are so passionate, like yourself, like me, our community. BlogPaws cares and giving back, making a difference in the life of animals. So what better way to start 2015 than you and I get the ball rolling and talk about some of the many things BlogPaws has done, how folks can get involved, and hopefully we'll have a very special guest by the time our show is over who is in his car on the freeway and hopefully getting to his studio at any time. So
Yes.
you want to tell us a little bit about how BlogPaws cares, Yvonne, and what exactly that means in our grand mission?
Well, first I want to apologize that we don't have McKenzi. I realized people were coming and we had wanted to have this wonderful experience with McKenzi tonight, but it just wasn't meant to be. And so what we did is we found another wonderful, fabulous guest that, like you say, I hope that he gets to his studio because people will be so impressed. And in the way that life goes, that didn't happen either. But we don't mind, because we're talking about BlogPaws Cares. We're talking about shelters and rescues. And I like to remind people, when I'm interviewed and when I talk to anyone who asks me about BlogPaws, the thing that I focus on and that I want the world to understand is that my community really does care. That we are unique and we are separate from any other blog network or blog group out there, because we have a collective purpose, and our collective purpose is supporting shelters and rescues. That could mean raising funds or raising money. As many people who come to the conference know, BlogPaws likes to give back, and we give back pretty big at our conferences. Our keynotes, by the way, come and speak and allow us to donate to a shelter of their choice, rather than take a speaker's fee. I mean, how great is that? That is the greatest thing going.
Absolutely. You can't beat that. And that's the sort of thing that I don't believe some folks out there know, is how much BlogPaws as a whole and our members in the community, how we're giving back. Ways, like you said, it could be something as simple as donating a small amount, creating your own movement, being inspired because you went to BlogPaws and you met some of the rescues. This is the perfect conference for a rescue to come to, whether you're someone who wants to rescue, you are the person who's in charge of a rescue, or you don't even know where to start, which incidentally was me when I walked into a BlogPaws conference many moons ago and had no idea but knew I wanted to help pets. Over the course of some of our conferences, which is going to be 7, is it, Yvonne?
Yeah, we're on our 7th.
Yes, we have actually donated to many organizations, going all the way back to Columbus, Ohio in 2010, right through 2014, and I'm going to let you actually say the number because it takes my breath away.
If you look at this slide that we're sharing with everyone, you'll notice that in 2014 we upped the game. In 2014, we said we are going to make sure that we get something out there for as many places as we can. Our community and our members are so passionate about making sure shelters and rescues are supported. So in 2014, we went above and beyond, and we gave back. As you can see on the slide, and the total overall donations collectively come to $73,500. So we will break the $100,000 mark this year. And if you notice the little at the bottom there where it says we've given away $15,000 in goods alone, much of that is leftover swag from the conference. When you have something in your swag bag that you don't care to take home, it's not something you want or you need, you can leave it at BlogPaws and we will donate it. We will also donate any leftover items that the brands who exhibit with us leave behind, and they know this. That's part of what we talk to them about. So you know, BlogPaws is very big into the whole give back, and we look to our community to help us, by the way. I don't know how many people know when you register for BlogPaws, we're going to ask you to nominate a shelter. And what is it, about a month before the conference, because we need time to plan, what we'll do is a random draw from all registered attendees, and that's a shelter that we will donate to at the conference.
Awesome. I'm going to remind folks who are listening to this that the BlogPaws Conference 2015 takes place May 28th through May 30th in Nashville at the Sheraton, I believe it's Music City.
Yes.
It's the hotel. Yes. And tickets are on sale now. You could go to blogpaws.com and literally click on the huge registration button. That'll get you in. That'll give you the pricing. But this takes me back to when I went to my very first BlogPaws. And I knew, like I said, I wanted to learn, I wanted to connect, but I wanted to help animals. And you all threw a curveball because we were all sitting in this big room, all of us attendees, and the lights went down and a video came up. And maybe you'd like to introduce this, because for folks who are new to BlogPaws, or maybe you've been on board for a number of years, this was kind of groundbreaking, to say the least.
Well, we introduced Be the Change for pets, for animals, at the first BlogPaws. And out of that, we had a session, a general session, where we had several speakers. We had Caroline Gollin, who is the leader here, because Romeo the cat was her first pet blog, and it was designed to raise funds for shelter cats. And we had Lynn Haig from the UK, and someday we'll tell you the story about how she ended up in Atlanta instead of Columbus, Ohio, where she was supposed to be. And we had Jane Farrell from Pet Finder at the time. She's not with them any longer. And Dorian Wagner. So that was our panel for Be the Change. And they put together, behind the scenes, a fantastic video which we showed at the first BlogPaws, and we're going to try and show this video now. So everybody pay attention, get your hankies out. Wow.
Yeah, I'm a bit taken aback. Every time we watch that, what do you have to say about that, Yvonne?
Well, I watch it. I sometimes just go out and I watch it, and I remember the first BlogPaws. I remember how excited we were. I don't know how many people understand that Tom and Caroline and I, we just wanted to get a bunch of pet bloggers together and maybe have a few speakers, and maybe it would be a day, and it would be a workshop, and maybe we would get a brand. We'd find a brand to sponsor it, but it grew. It grew overnight. It grew within just a couple of weeks. We had brands emailing us saying, we heard you're putting together a conference and we want to be there. And basically we said, this is a really good time to make this happen. Not just for, I want everyone to understand, it isn't just for the pet bloggers. It's also for the pets. There's nothing better than having a purpose, and our purpose of supporting and sharing what we have and what we do with pets in our lives. So that video is something we should watch routinely. It does make you cry. It really gets you choked up, but it proves that our purpose is actually accomplishing something. And it looks to me like we have a guest.
I believe so. Can you hear us, Joey?
I can hear you great.
You are live with us. We are so excited to have you here. Everyone, you may recognize a familiar face, have met Joey Herrick from Tillman and Norman at the BlogPaws conferences as the president of the now Lucy Pet Foundation. He is the co-founder and president of Natural Balance Pet Foods, and I wanted to introduce Joey Herrick. Joey, welcome to Google Hangout BlogPaws Cares Edition.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm actually, this is the first time I've ever done this, so I'm actually a virgin.
So you're a novice.
This is my first time ever doing this.
Well, I must say that we like your setting. I love your backdrop there with all the books.
Oh, thanks. That's just, this is in my master bedroom. I have an office here, so that's what that is.
Very
Wonderful.
Right,
So,
well, entire world, meet Joey. Joey, meet the entire world.
Hello, entire world. And I had so much fun doing BlogPaws when we went there. I think it was Salt Lake City, and I brought the bus up there with Tillman and all the dogs, and we did shows, and it was so much fun. I enjoyed it. And I'm actually, the next BlogPaws, I'm going to bring our spay and neuter bus. Is it in April or May coming up?
Yes, it's in May 28th through the 30th, and we will be in Nashville. So you will be bringing your spay and neuter bus to Nashville.
And my guitar.
And your guitar.
Man. All right.
Absolutely. Well, folks who don't know you, your new endeavor, talk to us a little bit about the Lucy Pet Foundation and what that is. A little bit of background, please.
All right. Well, I started the Lucy Pet Foundation because, you know, when I had a pet food company, I donated millions of pounds every year to animal rescue groups because it was the animal rescue groups, in my opinion, that were doing all the work. They saved all the animals and lowered the euthanasia rates. They were going in, taking the animals out of the shelters, putting them in foster care, and so I always donated food to them. And I felt great about doing it, and but you know, now I'm not in a position to do that. And I decided that I needed to solve the problem because there's not enough animal rescue groups to go around. The animals, you know, just keep multiplying. People don't know that 80,000 dogs and cats every week are euthanized. And I decided that I'm going to stop that and do everything I can and use all my 30 years of marketing experience in the pet industry and all my contacts and take a different approach to it and try to stop that. So that's why I started the Lucy Pet Foundation. It's something that I will never make a dollar from. To date, I've put over $1 million into it. When I first decided to start it, I sat my wife down and said, you know, Linda, I want to take, you know, about $700,000 and we're going to start the Lucy Pet Foundation. Now it's over $1 million. And she said, okay. And I said, I'm never going to make a dollar from this. And she said, okay. What about traveling? I said, we're going to travel. We're going to go to Palmdale, Bakersfield, Lancaster, Indio, all the places where there's pet overpopulation. That wasn't what she had in mind. I think she was more thinking of Italy and France.
Oh.
But needless to say, that's what we're doing. We've done our first year. You know, our first year we vaccinated and spayed and neutered over 3,000 animals. So we're learning how to do this.
Awesome. That's so, and you're exactly right. There are so many pets that need the help, and it's astronomical. And when you say 80,000, that just puts it into perspective even more. That takes my breath away, and not in a good way. That 80,000 lives.
Oh, it's horrible. I tell you, when I first started doing it, I would drive the spay-neuter bus, and my wife would say, "Why are you driving the spay-neuter bus?" I said, "Because I like driving the spay-neuter bus."
Right.
And so I'd drive this big bus, you know, with Dr. Halligan, our veterinary officer, and then the first few times I'd be going home going, "I don't know how I can do this." It was easy giving, you know, millions of pounds of dog foods to animal rescue groups. When you get in the shelters and you see what's going on, the abuse that people do, and you know the piles of animals in the back, it's like, you know, I'd get home and I'd go, I don't know how I can continue to do this. And then I'd see all my dogs, and they would come up to me, and I look into their faces, and I hold them, and I go, you know what, I'm probably one of the best shots, and I have to do this. And so I'm doing everything I can to unite everybody and get a good game plan to try to not make a difference but change things.
Right, right. And one of the things that I know because you're coming in on our hangout at sort of, no pun intended, the tail end, but Kristen Dewey has actually organized a blogger campaign for us, and there will be a private drawing just for our bloggers, and one blogger will win a $500 donation to their favorite rescue. Is there something you could speak to about that, Joey, so that those who are listening can learn more?
Well, and Kristen's been just terrific, and she's been creating a lot of awareness for this very special commercial that we're going to do. I've had this idea for a couple years, and we've actually shot this commercial, and it's really to bring attention to the 80,000 dogs and cats a week being euthanized, but it's done in a way nobody's ever done anything like it. It was designed to be a Super Bowl commercial. So it won't be on the Super Bowl. It's actually going to be on Hallmark's Kitten Bowl. So quite honestly, this year, the best bowl commercial this year for 2015 will probably be on Hallmark's Kitten Bowl, because it's a unbelievable commercial. I lucked out and got Sam Nicholson, who's one of the top visual effects guys in Hollywood. He happens to have many dogs and cats, and when he heard of the concept, he did it for the budget that I had, because I'm paying for it. It's not any donor money. I'm paying for it. And this is going to be $1 million commercial done at a very small budget, because Sam Nicholson is an animal lover, and the effects are just incredible what he's doing. But every animal is a live shelter animal. The stars of the commercial, I went into the East Los Angeles shelter and adopted the star quarterback. And then we went into Siaka, which is another shelter here in Los Angeles, and adopted the cat out. And then the wide receiver dog is from a rescue back, a shelter back east. And so they're all rescue dogs in this who could have been euthanized, but now they're starring in this very, very special commercial that will change the way people think about their pets.
So during the Super Bowl, folks are going to tune into the Hallmark's
Kitten Bowl, which is the second year, gets a very big audience, and they'll see this commercial, and it's an amazing commercial.
This is fascinating. I'm just so excited about it also, and I'm excited that BlogPaws can help out by talking about it and sharing it. And basically, I was telling Carol before you signed on, when Tom and Caroline and I started BlogPaws, we had a really big purpose to support shelters and rescues, and even we didn't know at the time how important it is for the kind of support you're talking about. We weren't even aware. We lived in our own little worlds where we had our special shelter or rescue that we supported as best we could. But as we meet more and more people and we get involved with more and more of our community members and our conference attendees, we learn about how passionate it is for BlogPaws. We learn about how passionate it is for all of the members. And I've always said that collectively is how we're going to accomplish all of these goals. So having you on board and knowing that here we can bring a lot more voices to it, maybe we'll just blow it out of the ballpark.
Well, that's what we need to do, because it's a horrible situation, and it needs to change. And I'm actually very excited because our second Lucy Pet Foundation bus is going into San Bernardino. We've teamed up with the Katherine Heigl Foundation. And they've been great. And then Erica Brunson, who is the grand dame of ladies in Los Angeles, who bought the first spay and neuter buses. Her organization, Coalition for Pets, we've all teamed up, and we're actually putting a bus down at the San Bernardino shelter, and it's going to sit. We actually told them today, the shelter people, that because we're going there on Friday. A week from Friday, to talk to them, because the bus is going to sit there for a year and do no cost spay and neuter, all funded by Katherine Heigl and Erica Brunson. And because that area, we spent a week there already with the Lucy Pet Foundation bus, and they bring them in by box loads. I mean, cardboard
Yeah.
boxes come in, and
Yeah.
the greatest dogs are getting put down. And you have to stop it. But it's not just spay and neuter. It's a whole program. You've got to have education. Yeah, I mean, we've been going into the Boys and Girls Clubs, working with them and talking to them so they understand how important these lives are. You know, talking to their parents that they know that your animal is going to be a much better pet. It's actually going to live longer. It's going to cost you less money with the vet. You need to know all these things. And so it's a whole involved process that it's not just spay and neuter. It's one spay and neuter is a big component, but you got to do all the other education. Legislation's important. Training's important.
Right.
You know, a lot of those animals there are great. They need some help. So having trainers go in and do things is great.
Yep. I see Tom is sharing some of the work and the ways people that can participate. I really have an affinity toward what you're talking about as far as education, especially when it comes to the children. I can remember when my kids were in grade school. Basically, one of the things that the teaching did at that time was have them come home and start making us be more green. So learning not to throw certain things away, but to put them in recycling. Well, I think it's time to do the same thing when it comes to shelter and rescue and animals and the care and welfare of the animals. We need to start teaching them in grade school so they know the importance of taking care of these creatures that are a big part of can be and will be a big part of their lives. I mean, pets are so much a part of our lives today. They're not just companion animals. They actually have a place in our hearts and our world.
I would say can you all hear me okay?
Now, yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay. I would say that Joey should hop on the bus and come to Nashville, but he'll be there with the bus, and no better place than to get to the people who are getting to the pet parents, because as Yvonne can attest, these are the influencers. These are the bloggers who pet parents and the pet community at large are going to. So the fact that you will be there and the fact that you're bringing the bus, one of the things that Kristen Dewey, she's actually on the chat with us, is if bloggers want to be entered into a drawing to win $500 for your favorite 501c3 pet rescue, you need to email Kristen, and we're going to put that up right here. We'll put that on our Facebook. We're also going to put that across the screen, but it's bloggers@LucyPetFoundation.org. So I just want to make sure that if anyone out there wants to win $500 for their favorite 501c3, that's the information. A little bit's coming up also, Joey, if you can talk to hashtag Team Dog or Team Cat. What that means, I know you have a new public contest starting soon, and folks like to show pictures of their pets. Just for you, and just because this is such a hot discussion, we're going to go 10 minutes over also. So,
great.
For anybody tuning in, we really want you to be able to talk a little bit about what's going on with Team Dog, Team Cat, and how can folks get involved.
Well, let me show you a picture of what people don't know. What's Team Dog, Team Cat?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can show this. Can you guys kind of see this?
I don't know if I can see that. A little bit of a...
There's a little glare, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's a still from the commercial that you actually, because there's dogs and cats playing football, so it's dogs and cats. Team Cats. It's a team of cats against team of dogs playing at a football stadium.
I'm staying out of that one.
Yeah.
I'm not even
and then the whole stadium is filled with dogs and cats. I don't know if you can see some of this. That's just one section of the stadium. Can you see it?
That's awesome. Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Those are just some stills from the commercial. And then actually Sam Nicholson, who's a genius, actually took an overview of the Staples Center in L.A., pulled out the Staples Center, and then built the Lucy Pet Adoption Arena, if you can see it.
Oh, my word. Oh, my word. That's so awesome. You're totally going to have so many people involved in this and so excited to get involved with pet rescue. Wow, so Team Dog, Team Cat, that all circles around, is this involving the Kitten Bowl?
Yeah, it's the Kitten Bowl. It's the Lucy Bowl, which is part of the, it's the commercial on the Kitten Bowl.
Okay.
And Team Dog is, it's great. People have actually gone online into the website and and we have team dog logos and team cat logos, and they've downloaded the logos and they've made costumes with the logos, and it's been a lot of fun.
So you're helping folks in America, you're helping the world get involved. You're telling them about this problem, which is 80,000 pets being needlessly euthanized every single week. You're grooming and you're training adoptable shelter animals. How can people who are listening to you think, well, that's great for him because he's got the Lucy Pet Foundation and he can do things, and well, how can the average pet parent get involved?
Find out in your area who's your local shelters, because they could use the help. You know, the local shelters, people don't realize. Dr. Halligan, who's our chief veterinary officer, Dr. Karen Halligan, a lot of you may know her. She's always on Animal Planet and does a lot of TV shows and the Today Show. But she was also, excuse me, before she joined me, she was for 12 years with the SPCA LA here in Los Angeles. And when Katrina hit, they packed up and went all the way, you know, they went back to help with Katrina, right? All the animals. And what happened there, which made her very angry, is a big animal organization came in with about 15 people, and some of you had dual laptops, and they raised about $20-some million in the 8-9 days they were there. And guess what? Then they packed up the laptops and left, and forgot to leave any money with the local animal shelters.
Wow.
So go to your local animal shelter and find out who's doing the good work in town and volunteer and help them, because they can use the help.
And the Lucy Pet, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The Lucy Pet Foundation, to that end, is involved with legislative issues as well. So can you speak a little bit about that? Because I know until we change the law, so many things are going to continue.
Well, there's a lot of things that you need. That's why legislation is part of the whole story. I mean, if you saw the Rose Parade last year, we did a float, and on the float we had Daniel, the beagle. And
yes.
Daniel, owned by Joe Dwyer, was a beagle that survived the Alabama gas chamber. So they had put 17 dogs in a gas chamber, and then the attendant opened the door, and there was 16 dead dogs, but here's Daniel. Daniel's still alive. So the guy didn't have the heart to put him back in, so they took him out, put a blanket on him, figuring he was going to die. Guess what? Daniel didn't die. And it was kind of a miracle that Daniel didn't die. But in this day and age, how are we putting animals into a gas chamber to euthanize them? I mean, I'm totally against that, and that's something that needs proper legislation, and something that we definitely want to support to try to stop that, because that's horrific.
So this is education, this is awareness, this is fun. What you're doing is actually fun. You're making everything exciting about rescue. Speak to that a little bit, and that element.
Well, I come from, people never figured, big pet food companies never figured out how I grew Natural Balance into to be as big as it became. It became Petco's #1 dog food for a long time. How did I do that? But I grew it in a different kind of way, as normal business type things. So because I come from show business, so I understand celebrity. I understand the power of celebrity and how the radio works, how the TV works, and all that. So everything I did with marketing, I mean, nobody ever figured out why I did the Rose Parade. Why do I do 6 years of Rose Parade floats? Well, the very first year I did a Rose Parade float, I got 2 billion media impressions.
Wow.
2 billion. The next year I got 4 billion. The next year I got 5 billion. The most I ever got one year is when I created the world's longest and heaviest float. And I went to Ford Motor Company and said, Ford, I don't want any money from you. Just put an engine and transmission in the world's heaviest float and tell people you did it. So they said, okay. That year we got almost 8 billion media impressions. We were in every car magazine. We were in the New York, twice in the New York Times on the Sunday section, because Ford powered this float. So I market differently. So I want to do the same thing with the animal world. I want to market differently. I've actually just contacted quite a few of the animal groups here in Los Angeles and said, look, we need to buy together. We're all buying sutures. We're all buying stuff. Let's buy together. And they've all said, yes, well, we want to do that. And so I went to a friend of mine who's a big supplier who said, I said to him, Jim, I'm going to bring in, probably a $6 million piece of business where we're all 501c3s. We're all coming together to buy ingredients. And you know what he said to me? He said, Joey, that's just terrific. And you know what? I don't want to make money off of 501c3. So we'll do it for our cost for you. And
that's amazing. Wow.
I said, Jim, thank you. And he said, whenever I can, I'll set you directly up with a manufacturer, for some things, So those meetings are just happening. So I'm trying to bring a different approach to all this stuff.
You have fans actually listening to you right now. I know they want to meet you in person at BlogPaws. You have Terry, who's a cat mom, and she's in Virginia. And you have Amy, who just actually typed in and said, thank goodness for people like you who are helping to make a difference. And that's what BlogPaws is all about. We're a group. We're a community.
Mm-hmm.
We're a worldwide inspiration of animal lovers at our core. And Yvonne, could you talk a little bit about that and how folks can meet Joey, when they could meet Joey, and where?
Well, Joey will be at BlogPaws, and in the meantime, I'm sure between now and BlogPaws, we have 5 months. And we all want to make sure that we're helping out. We all want to be the army behind what Joey's creating here. I'll tell you, Joey, in some ways what you're working on and the things that you're doing aren't really new. It's just, I agree with you. You have a new way of doing that. You have something, and the way that you're creating what you're doing and the vision that you have, that's what's new. Well, it's something that we all support. When you say go to your local shelter, I can tell you right now that the people that are BlogPaws members watching today, that's what they do. They go to their local shelter. We talk about helping local shelters. We often talk about taking old towels to the local shelter. We talk a lot about how to save feral cats. And I'll be honest with you, we're about all pets, so it isn't just dogs and cats. There's guinea pigs, there's ferrets. We have a small group of people who have ferrets, but they're very devoted and they're very vocal, and we support them 100%. And it's why we don't bring BlogPaws to California. California bans ferrets throughout the entire state. And so we can't come to California until they overturn that ban, because that wouldn't be fair to our ferret friends in our community. But in the end, I feel like we have the opportunity to create an army. So everyone listening and everyone watching today, this is the first step toward building up that education, supporting someone who's out there making a difference in ways that each of us individually can't. So we do want to hear more about what you're doing with the Lucy Pet Foundation. We want to make sure when you're at BlogPaws, everyone gets a chance to meet you. You'll probably get mobbed. And having you on the show today, I can't tell you how happy I am that you put your pedal to the metal or whatever it was and finally got to your studio, to your office there. I have to say thank you for that, because we really are excited about what you're doing.
Well, well, this is great. I told you this was the first time, and I enjoy this. This is good. And together, there's more than enough money raised every year to make significant reductions in the euthanasia rates. Yeah. But you can't have 10% of what's raised for a big organization go to help animals. You can't have, yes, everybody needs to make money. I'm very fortunate that I don't have to. Okay, I'm lucky. I understand that. But you still can't have somebody making $500,000 a year on a charity, and you're only giving out,
right?
90% goes to running stuff, and 10% is going to the animals. I'm against that. So,
exactly.
Joey, where can folks find out about you? I don't want you to us to lose you before we wrap. Where can folks go to learn more?
Just go to lucypetfoundation.org and you'll see all about us, and there's all kinds of information there, and about the contest and the commercial that's coming, and all kinds of information there.
And Carol, let anybody know that if they have specific questions for Joey, they should email you or me, and we will connect with Joey, and we'll make sure that they get those questions answered, because he's making himself available here.
Yeah, no, I'm always available. So.
Absolutely. You should go into something to help pets there, Joey. You have a pretty good personality.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I gotta, I have quite a few dogs here, more than I want to say, but I love my dogs.
I
And I
like
love
to
my
hear
cat
that.
Ricky. The cat we just put a picture on Facebook a little while ago because I was in the office. I was holding Ricky, and Ricky's the cat that we adopted from the Siaka shelter, who would have been put down because they have it's a high,
Sure.
high euthanasia rate there. And Ricky is the coolest cat. And it was Ricky that we trained to make the jump to block the pass. So I mean, I remember one night I was at a big animal thing, and it was got a black tie, so it's like 11:30 at night. I got out of there, I drove to the office. I'm in my tuxedo. It's now midnight, and I'm training Ricky to jump from his 2-foot table to his 4-foot table because he had to have that last one. So
That's
he's
wonderful.
That's awesome. So LucyPetFoundation.org, BlogPaws.com. You're bringing the bus. We're wrapping up with Joey Herrick here and Yvonne, and I want to thank you both for joining us tonight, being the change for pets, and let's make 2015 lowering those 80,000 that are being put down in shelters.
Yes, and don't forget to register for the conference because Joey's going to be there.
Very good. Thanks, everyone.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.